I was 10 when Bishop was born. So that means put me in the 5th grade. So we grew up together in that way because our parents were good friends.
We grew up in the same neighborhood in Portsmouth, in Prentice Park. His grandmother stayed on Charleston, and my grandmother stayed 2 doors down from him. So we kind of saw each other in the neighborhood, but back then, you know, boys played with boys and girls played with girls.
He was raised by a single mom, so he became the head of the household, and he became a mama's boy. But I think that can be both good and bad. I think a lot of times when you hear the term mama's boy, people automatically think that means a negative thing. But I'd like to share that it means he knows how to take care of a woman, how to address a woman, and to make a woman feel good, because he did very well by his mother. And that was one of the things that impressed me when I met him.
When my mother and his mother became roommates at Winston-Salem State Teachers College, they were in this dance group, and I was going to show you a picture of, she's my godmother, Mama Cat, I call, is down here, and my mother is over here.
He was a golden child. What he doing now was sort of like he was meant to do it.
And let me say, when he was growing up, I used to love when my godmother dressed him, because he was so cute with his little Eton suit and white high socks and white striped white shoes.
He was a pretty good student, and I think though part of it was the fact that I was constantly letting him know that I would call his mother, Cat Brown, if he messed up. And in 9th grade, you know, he was pretty tall, and a lot of the fellas, a lot of times they thought they were going to be able to try me as a young English teacher, but it didn't happen. They couldn't get away with much.
He was always the good kid in the neighborhood. You never heard anything bad about him, you know, and he hung around everybody. He didn't think he was better than anybody else. He just never got in trouble. You just never heard anything bad about him.
I'm about 7 years older than he is, so I always had to have his back. But he used to provoke stuff, because you know I was always coming.
He was a relatively good student, but certainly he was a typical teenager too. And to see him go from those days, and he often mentioned some of the things they got involved in. I don't have to mention them here, but as a typical teenager, and to see him evolve to the ministerial level and to be the spiritual leader that he is, not only at the Mount, but the entire city of Chesapeake, Hampton Roads. Really now it's getting to be across the world. It's just amazing.
So my first personal encounter with him was when he was protesting the grade that he had gotten. He thought he should have gotten a higher grade. After discussing for a few moments, he found out he wasn't going to get a higher grade. So he left my office and slammed the door pretty hard.
Swanson Home is on this side, where this was still out of bounds. Swanson Home is right here. Prentice Park is on, this is the interstate. Prentice Park is the other side of the interstate. We'll ride down here and see if we can see the soap factory, right there. I don't know what's there now, but back in the day, that was the soap factory.
And that was an everyday routine for you?
It was not an everyday routine because we caught the school bus.
Oh, okay.
It was only a routine during basketball season, or if you had detention, and so you had missed the school bus. And you know, since I was a model student,
yeah, you never had
I didn't have detention that often.
So we good out here? Cause you out here with her?
Yeah, you should feel a little unsafe.
I'm okay right now.
We got the Jeep.
We rode down the soap factory, past Swanson Home.
All right, that's my grandmama's house, where I was raised, literally. Used to think that side yard was the biggest yard that existed. We used to play football on that side yard. The house next to that is my best friend's house, Arnold Grant. And you didn't play in this street right here, because as you can see, a whole lot of traffic came down Palmer. But Charleston, we used to play, we literally played football in this street right here. It was really, truly the village raising you in that day and time. You know, where now you might not even know your neighbor's name, know where your neighbor works. We knew everybody, and interesting thing about when we grew up, it was your block was tight. So if you were from 2200, you were from 2200. If you were from 2100, you were from 2100. So, you knew everybody on your block. I never forget my grandmother's house, the back of it caught on fire when we were little, and the whole neighborhood just rallied around my grandmama, and my granddad. So, it was truly community,
What do you feel like separates Bishop Brown from other preachers?
He just makes a mark as to what he's about. He's not afraid to tell where he came from.
His youthfulness. You probably wouldn't be able to guess his age if you saw him in a public setting, because he's always going to be the life of the party. I mean, that's just naturally him.
The laughing, joking, caring, positive brother. Same way he is in church, the same way he is behind the scenes at home.
But he thinks out of the box, and not only just thinks, he acts out of the box. And I just think that is phenomenal.
And he's not even just like that with the family. He's like that with everybody. You'll come to an event at the church and he'll be riding his unicycle. And so, just him being so tangible, so, he's so reachable, I think kind of separates him from a lot of other pastors or ministers.
Man, Bishop just got so much charisma, man. His whole style is different from preaching. Like if you didn't know Bishop was a preacher and you met him out somewhere, you probably wouldn't assume or guess he was a preacher.
But I think what makes Bishop different is that he truly, and I'm not saying other pastors don't, but he truly loves the people. I think everyone at the Mount knows that his standing statement is, don't talk about my people. If you even think about talking about anybody at the Mount, he's ready to give you your pink slip.
I think he has more imagination than they do. He just believes that he can do whatever has to be done.
That, and he's also a lifelong learner. I think a lot of pastors, once they graduate from seminary, they believe that they've been trained and they're ready and they know it all. Bishop has never taken on that facade. He has always been willing to learn, and it's because of his willingness to be exposed and to travel and to see what other ministries are doing and to bring back those things that he thinks would benefit not only the Mount but also the community, I think is what has made him different.
I remember one sermon that Bishop preached. He always said, or in the sermon, he said, don't ever ask God for what's normal. Always ask God for what's uncommon. And I feel like that has just stuck with me for so long.
The bottom line, you're a lot better. Plain and simple. That's all I can see. If you better, you better. Some guys just can't preach.
I'd like to say, some of my dad's current mentors, obviously we all know Bishop Hilliard. I mean, that's like bar none. I mean, every time he goes away to Houston or Bishop is here, my dad is always back. He comes back with more faith, ready to go out and kind of conquer the world, the 757.
Well, he comes out of Third Baptist Church, and Pastor Fleming was very, very instrumental in shaping him. Pastor Fleming licensed him into the ministry, and I believe he learned a lot during the years where Pastor Fleming was his pastor.
Sunday morning for prayer for the deacons and the trustees. There you go, right there.
That's your granddad.
Right. Floyd Harris was the man who would pick us up on the yellow school bus for Christian Boys Club. This man right here, his son is at our church, works in the parking lot ministry. This man and your granddaddy were close friends. They were bosom buddies. So you know this gentleman right here.
Yeah.
And
of course
you know him.
Mr. George.
Yep.
That you play golf
Yep. And that's Daryl's brother.
I can kind of see him.
And that's the lady you just met, my English teacher. I sat right here.
On the steps?
Nope, it would be a folding chair. Because I liked this little corner. It kind of kept me, it was my own little spot. So I'd sit right here in a folding chair, right behind the pulpit. Huh?
You ran a video from here?
No, this is before I was running the video camera. I just sat there. This was my seat. And when I ran the video camera, it wasn't here. It was right there. So on Sundays, I would sit right here. And there would be a folding chair right here. I would run the video camera. And then what I would do is set the video camera up, get it on a wide angle. If I had to sing in the choir, I'd leave it right here, run to the choir room, put on my choir robe, go in with the choir. And then after church, I'd come back and break down the video. To preach for the first time? Terrified.
Were you frightened?
Terrified.
You didn't show it.
I'm sure I showed it. Pastors being kind. I've looked at the video, so I'm sure I showed it. Terrified. I guess you grow up in church and you have a great respect. See, I think the thing for me is pastor helped me to have, and I don't know if you remember this, when I went to tell him I was called to preach, I guess I expected to get licensed in 30 days or something. And I remember him saying, if you were going to be a doctor, what would you do? You would go to medical school. If you were going to be a lawyer, what would you do? You'd go to law school. He said, well, my expectation for you is you go to seminary. And I had never, I can honestly say, I had never heard of seminary. Didn't even really, understand seminary, but I remember him saying, your gifts require that you go to seminary.
The saying is, the churches always take the personality of the leader.
We are the future. The longevity of the church, while we would like to think that Bishop is going to be here forever and ever, that's not reality. And so it's the investment that you put in now with the KJs or even the me, LJ, and Keisha's that will help progress the legacy that he has worked so hard to establish.
He loves young people. He cares for young people. I think we recognize that young people are the future, and if we don't do our role as mentors in shaping them and being engaged in their life, you're not going to impact them.
Well, Bishop understands that the youth is our future, and if he can get to them early enough, he can make some big changes with them. We all can.
The generation of today is not the child where you can just tell them to do something and they're going to do it. They want to know why. They want to see if you are living what you're talking.
What you gonna be when you grow up?
A preacher.
Like who?
Like Papa.
And what do you eat at Pop Pop's house?
Hot dogs, and every finish we can go outside and play.
What kind of snacks does Pop Pop give you?
Fruit snacks. Fruit snacks if I be a good boy.
He makes his sermon down to earth so people can understand. He uses analogies every Sunday that you can relate to. He keeps it real, and I think that is so important.
I sat out there Sunday mornings now and look, and sometimes I'm just amazed at the things that has happened during the time that he was here, because I was born in this church that's there. So yes, God has really used him and continues to use him in a marvelous way.
One word that I would use to sum up their, last 25 years.
Be life-changing.
It would be unimaginable. Not sure if that's a word, but that's the word I'm going to use.
Unique.
Simply amazing.
He good. G-O-O-D.
Right here is where I caught all my touchdown passes and all of that playing street football.
Street football?
Yep.
You probably weren't good.
Y'all don't know anything about street football now because y'all got nice yards and all of that.
I wish his mom was here to see this day.
Yeah.
For real.
You should be proud.
She be raising Cain up in here.
And our first date was going to Red Lobster, and we went to Red Lobster. It was a speaking engagement, I think, that he had, and he got a few dollars, and he took me there, and we talked, and as they say, the rest is history.
There ain't no stat sheet. I threw that out the window. And I told him, he the Michael Jordan of this joint.
So if I didn't want my mom to know I had detention, I had to run all the way from Wilson High School to Prentice Park to get home at the same time as the bus would be dropping me off. So that when that phone rang, because if that phone didn't ring, she wanted to know where I was. So when that phone would ring, I'd answer the phone, but I'd be out of breath.
Go. That's why I went over there for, because I knew I was gonna laugh eventually. Thank you. I mean, go way over there, because I don't want to see you at all. No, out of sight, man.
Today, we're going to be putting a sign, not just any ordinary sign, but we're going to be putting up a sign that is going to have the words K.W. Brown Way. This is a street sign dedicated specifically to my bishop, your leader of the Mount. K.W. Brown Way is significant because the letters alone equal the number 7, and number 7 in biblical numerology means complete and perfection. And today we are going to do the perfect thing for our bishop, K.W. Brown Way. When you come here, you're going to see that sign and you're going to say, thank you, God, for having our bishop, K.W. Brown. Thank you for all you do. God bless you.